Dr. V. Anitha Rani, Associate Professor of Chemistry from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. So we are going to discuss tutorial question bank, module 5, natural resources and environmental pollution. So part A, short answer questions. First question, what are renewable and non-renewable resources? Give examples. So renewable resources means we can take the example like a forest, croplands, and for example we are taking here non-living resources. We can take here, for example, we will take water, we can take like hydroelectric energy and geothermal energy, so that we are taking earth, biomass energy, solar power, solar energy, wind energy. So all these are renewable resources. Non-renewable resources means we'll take coal, petroleum and natural gas. So we have to write the examples. So for renewable resources, we can write wind energy, solar energy, biomass energy, geothermal energy. For non-renewable resources, we can write coal, petroleum, natural gas. So renewable resources are, they are inexhaustible resources. So we can get renewable resources within a given span of time. Non-renewable resources, these are exhaustible resources. So these are formed after a million years. So we does not get in a given span of time. So it needs time. It will take more time to form the coal or petroleum or natural gas. Next one, enlist different surface and groundwater resources. Surface water means we can take the example rivers, oceans, lakes. Groundwater resources means we will take here bore well, or we can take the well, that we can take. What is an aquifer? Write its type. Aquifer means here water, it will be stayed between the two permeable rocks. Between two permeable rocks. So aquifers which are formed, which are overlaid by the permeable earth material and are recharged by the seeping water are called unconfined aquifer. So this is one of the type. That is the aquifer. One of the type is unconfined aquifer. Unconfined aquifer, that is the water is stayed between the impermeable earth material. Impermeable material means like a sand, fine sand layer. So between the two sand layers, water will be stayed. That is called unconfined aquifer. Confined aquifer means the water will be stayed between the two impermeable rocks. Between the two impermeable rocks means the rocks does not allow the water to flow. Okay, so two impermeable rocks. But how, from where the water is formed here between the two impermeable rocks means the water is coming from the sources of water. From the sources of water means, for example, here we are taking here IARE. So we got under the ground, we got confined aquifer and we got impermeable rocks. So but we are having a lake nearby, we got the lake. From that lake, the water is flowing in this direction. The water is flowing and staying between the impermeable rocks. That is called confined aquifer. So what are the types of aquifer means? Unconfined aquifer and confined aquifer. So next, what are the benefits and problems of large dams? So when we are constructed, for example, Nagarjuna Sagar dam is there. So when we constructed a dam, what are the advantages are there? What are the problems are there? So advantages like, first advantage, so we can use the water for irrigation purpose, for agriculture, okay, for growth of the crops, okay, for crop production we can use the water when we are constructing dams, and for generating electricity, and we can use for drinking, water for drinking also, and we can control the flood. We can control the flood, and here we can store the water in dams, and we can use for like a different purpose. We can control the drought also. And what are the problems of dams means? So when we are constructing a dams, we will take a large area, so that here we have to remove all the trees. Okay, we have to go for deforestation completely. Here loss of habitat will be taking place. That is movement of the village people or any other who is living there. They have to shift from one place to another place. and animals, they have to migrate from one place to another place. So loss of biodiversity will be taking place by construction of the dams. So several villages or communities or they have to move from one place to another, and loss of agricultural land will be taking place. So villages, they are having agricultural land, so that land also will be lost here because of the construction of the dams. So that we have to write here. So next, define solar cells, write its applications. Solar cells we will take here. We will take like a semi-conducting materials, silicon. We will take 2 layers of the silicon, P-type silicon, N-type silicon. So we will prepare the solar cells. So by using solar cells, we will generate the electricity. So what are the applications means? We can use for domestic purpose. We can take the hot water. Okay, we can produce electricity, and we can in industries also we can use the solar power energy. And here nowadays they are using the solar energy in satellites also and in Rocky Mountains. So next one. What is the importance of land as a natural resources? What is the importance of land as a natural resources? See, when we are not protecting the land, we can't go for crop production. So we have to protect the land. Land is a natural resource. So if you are losing the fertility of the soil, we can't go for crop production. So that we have to write here. That is here land resource as a natural resource. What is the importance? So next, list the different types of natural resources. There are 2 types of natural resources that we can write here. Classification we can write living resources, non-living resources. So living resources means here plants you can take, forest you can take, and non-living resources water, soil. So that we can write renewable resources, non-renewable resources. Renewable resources means already we discussed renewable resources, sun, water, and we can take wind, solar energy, biomass energy, geothermal energy, hydropower energy. And non-renewable resources means coal, petroleum, natural gas. So that we have to write different types of natural resources. So next, the problems of over-exploitation of groundwater. So when we are using groundwater, over-utilization of groundwater, it leads to the decrease in water level. So if you are using more groundwater, what happens? There won't be any water in the ground. So there won't be any water in the ground. What happens means the earth, it will be, heat will be more under the earth. It leads to earthquake, and also it leads to the famine and landslides. And over-utilization of groundwater leads to drying up of duck wells as well as bore wells. And here we are using more water for nowadays for agriculture. That is leading to the decrease in the water table, decrease in the water level in the groundwater. So that we have to write here. So next, what exactly are fossil fuels and why are they non-renewable? So here, what are fossil fuels means? Here, the fuels which are formed by the decay of plants and animals, by the bacterial decomposition, means by the presence of bacteria, these decay of the plants and animals under heat and pressure, they will convert into fuels. What are the fuels? Solid fuel, coal, liquid fuel, petroleum, and gaseous fuels, natural gas. These are called fossil fuels because by the remaining of the plants and animals, fuel is formed. So they are called fossil fuels. Why are they non-renewable? Why are they non-renewable? Because these fuels are formed after million years. So it is not formed in 1 year, 2 years or 10 years. It is taking million years to form the coal, to form the petroleum, to form the natural gas. Next, describe the measures to be taken for the control of floods. So what are the measures we have to take to control the floods? So we have to go for how to control the floods. So when flood comes, we know that collapsing of buildings will be taking place, loss of the agriculture, when we are going for growing of crops. So all the disadvantages are there. So to control the floods, we have to go for construction of dams. Construction of dams, then we can control the floods, and we can collect the water in dams, we can store the water, and we can control the floods. And we should not go for deforestation. Deforestation, that is also leads to the, it causes the floods. So next one we can discuss here. Define air pollution. Define air pollution. It is an atmospheric condition. So when we see the air, now here everywhere air is polluted due to certain substances present in high concentrations. Here the air is polluted, either naturally it is polluted, the air is polluted, and also by man-made activities, the air is polluted. So when the concentration of the substance is increasing in the air, like SO2, CO2, CO, when their concentration level is more in the air, that is leads to pollution, that is called air pollution. So what is air? Define air pollution. What are the sources of air pollution? Sources of air pollution, we can take here natural sources, volcanic eruptions, and we can take here man-made sources, emission from the vehicles and from the industries, and primary pollutants that we can write CO, CO2, SO2, NO, and secondary pollutants HNO3, H2SO4, that is we can write O3, SO3, sulfur dioxide, peroxides. These are the examples of secondary pollutants. What is environmental pollution? So any undesirable change in the physical or chemical or biological characteristics of any component of the environment. So we are taking here environment. So environment means we will take water, soil, air. Okay, all are polluted here. Air is polluted, water is polluted, soil is polluted. So any change in the environment by the activities, by man-made activities, like a chemical, by any chemical reactions from the industries, that is evolving hazardous substance. So the environment will be polluted. So that is affecting the here property of the materials, or it is affecting the human beings or plants. That is called environmental pollution. And contaminant, that is known as pollutant. So next, what are the various methods to control water pollution in industries? What are the various methods to control water pollution? So what we can write here is, we can go for the farmers are using nowadays for crop production. They are using pesticides and fertilizers for crop production. But what happens, these pesticides and fertilizers, so they will remain in the soil. When heavy rain comes, so they will run off with water to the water bodies and leads to water pollution. So how to control this? Now farmers, they should not use the pesticides and fertilizers. Okay, they have to go for, they have to use the manure, and they should not use all the chemicals. Then we can reduce the water pollution. So use nitrogen fixing plants. Instead of using chemicals, that is nitrogen, we can use nitrogen fixing plants where we get the nitrogen in the soil. Okay, we can use, instead of the fertilizers, we have to use the nitrogen fixing plants. And next one, we can here we can go for that drainage of sewage. Means we are not going for proper drainage system. We have to go for proper drainage system. The municipality people, they have to follow that rainwater they have to collect separately, and drainage water also they have to collect separately. The drainage water they have to treat, they have to treat that water, means they have to convert into pure water, and wastage they have to throw it. But what is happening now? All the drainage water directly it is going into the water bodies. How to prevent means, there should be a separate system should be there for rainwater and drainage water. So we can control the water pollution. So next one, explain how groundwater gets polluted. So groundwater polluted mainly due to the presence of the, what we are using, the chemicals in the for the crop production in the soil, okay, in the land, when we are using the chemicals fertilizers and pesticides. So they will go deep into the ground, and they will mix with groundwater, and here it is polluting the groundwater. So name various atmospheric pollutants. So already we discussed this here already. There are here sources of pollutants here. There are primary pollutants are there, secondary pollutants are there. Two examples we can write: SO2, CO. Secondary pollutants we can write nitric acid HNO3 and sulfuric acid H2SO4. We can write the example. So next, what is noise pollution? Mention its sources. So noise pollution means we can write it is a type of sound. Here it will be pleasant for someone, but the same it will be unpleasant to others. So unpleasant, unwanted sound is called noise. Unpleasant, unwanted sound is called noise. So here what is sources of noise pollution means we can take here social events, construction of the buildings and transportation, household, all these are sources of the noise pollution. So next one, what are natural and man-made pollutants that cause air pollution? So we can write here natural sources will be volcanic eruptions, forest fires, pollen grains of flowers, that is natural sources of air pollution. Then man-made or anthropogenic sources. So the question will be asked like anthropogenic sources. So remember the here sources of air pollution. We can write thermal power plants, burning of fossil fuels, and from the chemical industries, what here evolution of here hazardous substance will be taking place. So next we can write here, what are the various methods to control air pollution in industries? Various methods to control air pollution. So first of all, we have to use here, we have to go for afforestation. Afforestation means planting. We have to go for planting. So take the plants and go for planting. We have to go for planting of plants. Okay, that is called afforestation. Deforestation means we are cutting the trees. Afforestation means we are going for planting. We can control the air pollution. Then thermal power station and other coal energy based industries should use low sulfur coal. So we have to use always low sulfur coal to avoid air pollution. Then we have to use here charcoal, then silica gel, fuller's earth. These materials, when we use here, we can make like a device, and we can use these materials. This will absorb the pollutants present in the atmosphere. Pollutants present in the atmosphere. Charcoal will absorb, silica gel will absorb these pollutants, and we can reduce the air pollution. So next one, describe soil pollution caused by fertilizers. So fertilizers, when we are using nitrogen and phosphorus fertilizers, it leads to the soil pollution. So we have to write that. Describe the adverse health effects due to industrial noise. So when noise is more, so there will be more effects here. So there will be physiological and psychological changes will be there. So continuously when we are hearing more noise, so we'll get hypertension, sleeplessness, gastrointestinal and digestive disorders. We'll get ulcers in the stomach, blood pressure changes, our behavior will be changing, emotional changes. So all this will be happening. So when we are hearing more noise, effect of noise pollution. So part B, long answer questions. Classify natural resources. What are the different methods of conserving water resource? Classify natural resources means we have to write living and non-living resources, renewable and non-renewable resources. What are the different methods of conserving water resources? We can go for one of the good method, rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting, we can collect the rainwater. We can use that rainwater for agriculture purpose you can use, and for domestic purpose we can use rainwater. Explain how water becomes a renewable resource. What are the effects of over-exploitation of water resources? So water is a renewable resource. Plenty of water is there in earth. Okay, it is a renewable resource. What are the effects of over-exploitation of water resource? If we are using more water, then we won't get here water for drinking or water for agriculture purpose and water for the living organisms. It won't be available. So it leads to drought. It leads to drought. Drought means what? Scarcity of water. If water is not available, that area we will call it as a drought area. Okay, if we are using water more, it leads to the drought. Describe briefly droughts and floods with respect to their occurrence and impacts. Droughts means when there is not enough rainfall in the area, in a particular area. If not enough rainfall is there, it leads to drought. Means there won't be any water in that land, in that soil. So floods means if heavy rainfall will be there in area, so then it causes to the floods. Overflow of water will be there on the surface of the land. Overflow of water, that is called a flood. Okay, that we have to write. First we have to write what is drought, what is flood, and what are the effect of drought, what are the effect of flood, and how to control drought, how to control flood. So next one, what are the advantages and disadvantages of dams to the society and environment? We know advantages. We can produce electricity, we can use the water for agriculture purpose. But disadvantages are several villages, they have to shift from one place to another. Loss of habitat will be there. Loss of the agricultural land, all that points we have to write. List out alternate energy resources. Explain their status, merits and demerits. Alternate energy resources means nowadays, now what we are using in vehicles, we are using petrol, diesel. Okay, we are using that are what we are collecting from the crude oil. We are getting from crude oil. Crude oil is a non-renewable energy resources. So we are getting pollution also. When we are using this petrol, diesel, we are getting pollution also. So what is alternate now here? How to reduce pollution? What is alternate energy resources? Means we can use solar energy, geothermal energy, biomass energy, and we can go for here the other alternate tidal energy. All these we have to write. We have to write about how we are preparing, how we are getting solar energy. Okay, we are using solar cells and converting light energy into electrical energy. And what are the merits are there? And what are the demerits? What are the merits and demerits? See, one merit for solar energy. We will use solar energy, we will produce electricity. That electricity we use for domestic purpose, in industries also we use. In Rocky Mountains we will use. Nowadays we are using in satellites. Demerits is solar energy is produced only during daytime. In night time we cannot produce. So like that, for all alternate energy resources, for wind energy, geothermal energy, biomass energy, so hydropower energy, we have to write how energy is produced, electrical energy, how it is produced from these sources, and what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages we have to write for this question. Now compare the advantages and disadvantages of oil, coal and natural gas as energy resources. So here when we take coal, it is having advantages, disadvantages. Advantages means coal we can produce here heat, okay, liberation of heat will be taking place, that we can use in industries, in iron industry. But at the same time, disadvantage, it will give more pollution, more ash content we get. So that we have to write. So like that only we have to write for crude oil and natural gas, advantages and disadvantages. Alternate energy resources, solar energy, just I am giving example here examples, wind energy, hydropower energy, so next geothermal energy, so next we can write biomass energy, etc. So all these we can write alternate energy resources. So next one, what are the advantages of hydropower? How energy is generated in hydroelectric power plant. So what is the advantage of hydropower means? Plenty of water is available. We can produce electricity by using water. And how energy is generated in hydroelectric power plant. So we are flowing the water, we are storing the water in dams, and we are flowing the water through the turbines, and turbine blades will move, and where we can convert here into electrical energy in generator, and we can pass that electrical energy into transformer, and we can go for home appliances. We can send that electrical energy into localities. What is the impact of urbanization and industrialization on land? So we have to write here. We are nowadays we can see example Hyderabad, that here urbanization it is expanding in a such a way. We can see increasing the construction of the buildings, and more industries are developing. So industrialization of land, that is more industries are developing. So what is the impact? What are the disadvantages are there? So by urbanization and industrialization, loss of habitat will be there. Migration of animals from one place to another place. So all that we can write. So here loss of agricultural land. We can write the example. Describe the non-renewable energy resources. Explain how almost every source of energy has its limits. So write about non-renewable energy resources: coal, petroleum, natural gas. Describe about crude oil, coal and natural gas. Explain how it is obtained, how it is formed, and write the advantages, disadvantages. Describe about alternate energy resources. So explain about all these alternate energy resources, write advantages, disadvantages. Explain about land resources with example. So what are the land resources and what are the here, what are the impacts are there, what are the effects are there in land resources, and how to control, what is land degradation, how to control the land degradation, that we have to write. Explain about renewable energy resources with example. So we have to write what we are writing, alternate energy resources, same we will write in renewable energy resources, because renewable energy resources only we are using as alternate energy resources. So here we have to write solar energy, wind energy, hydropower energy, geothermal energy. We have to write in renewable energy resources. What is environmental pollution? Explain the causes and effects of noise pollution. So already here we discussed about noise pollution, effects that we have to write, sources of noise pollution, and effects also we discussed that we have to write. What are the problems we are getting? We are getting gastric problems, ulcers are formed in the stomach, behavior will be changing. So we are getting hypertension. All that we have to write here, effects of noise pollution. So next, explain about sources, effects and control of soil pollution. What is the source of soil pollution and effect of soil pollution and control of soil pollution? How to control of soil pollution? We should not throw any waste on the surface of the land, and we should not use any chemicals, any fertilizers, pesticides on the land. So that we have to write. Next, explain about sources, effects and control of air pollution. And what are the sources of air pollution? We know already. That is primary pollutants, secondary pollutants. Effect of air pollution. Who is affected? Who is affected means it is due to air pollution, health of the human beings, effect will be there. Effect on plants, effect on materials also. And how to control? How to control means here we have to use the filters, gaseous filters we have to use where it will absorb the pollutants and it will clean the air. What are primary and secondary air pollutants? Enumerate various methods to control air pollution. We know primary and secondary air pollutants. With example, we have to write. And various methods to control air pollution. We have to use here that is gas filters we have to use. Already we discussed that. And we should not go for deforestation. We have to go for afforestation, that is planting trees. Describe major sources of soil pollution. How does soil pollution affect the soil productivity and what measures can be taken to prevent soil pollution? So what are the major sources of soil pollution means only two examples we can write. So we are throwing garbage, we are throwing the waste food waste or any other industrial waste we are throwing simply on the surface of the land, that are the sources of soil pollution. So it is affecting the soil productivity. Nothing but soil erosion will be taking place. Loss of the top layer of the soil, fertility of the soil will be lost. So how to prevent the soil pollution means we should not use any chemicals for the crop production, and we should not throw any waste on the surface of the land. Describe briefly sources, effects and control of noise pollution. We know the sources and what are the effects of noise pollution and how to control the noise pollution. So we have to we have to write all that. So next, write briefly sources, effects and control of water pollution. What are the sources of water pollution means? Already we know we are using chemicals in the surface in the crop field, that will be run off through the water. When rainwater comes, it will run off into the water bodies, leading to pollution. And here we are throwing the industrial waste into the water, and that are the sources of water pollution. Effects of water pollution. Everybody will be affected. When water is polluted, so all animals, effect will be for the plants, animals and human beings. Okay. How to control water pollution means we have to go for separate system for the collecting of rainwater and collecting of the drainage water. Separate system should be there. Municipality people, they have to treat the drainage water and they have to dispose it properly. So next one, part C, problem solving and critical thinking questions. What is the importance of land as a natural resource? Explain how world's land surface is getting degraded. So what is the importance of land as a natural resource means? So when we are not having a fertile land, we cannot go for crop production. We won't get the food. Okay, that is the importance of land as a natural resource. Explain how world's land surface is getting degraded. So here we can write how this land is degraded means mainly we are going for growth of the crops, vegetation, forest. The land is used. First point, we are going for construction of the buildings, and we are here making pastures for domestic animals, and we are developing the industries and we are going for here degradation of the land. So that we have to write. What kind of energy do we get from the sun? We will get from the sun solar energy, that we have to write. Explain how to convert solar energy into electricity. So we know how to convert solar energy means we are using solar cells like semiconductors, silicon material we are using, and when light energy, it will fall on the solar cells. So it will convert into electrical energy. A flow of electrons will be taking place from N-type silicon to P-type silicon. Then electrical energy will be produced. So we can use that electrical energy for domestic purpose and industrial purpose. Describe some of the water resources problems in India. So in India, water resources problems here mainly we are going for irrigation systems. So here we can write irrigation potential created but not being used. Here poor efficiency of irrigation system. See, the farmers, if you are providing water, but they do not know to use in a proper way. So there should be proper irrigation system should be there when they are using water for agriculture purpose. So then also when we are going for here construction of dam also. So we have to go for construction of the not a major dam. So we have to go for construction of the minor dams so that we cannot we won't get any problems here in water resources problems in India. What are the major anthropogenic causes of droughts and floods? Give its remedial measures. So construction of dams and reservoirs, it is effective method to control the floods. And here how we are getting the floods is due to heavy rainfall, and also for the when we go for deforestation, we are getting the here floods. How to control means mainly we can go for construction of the dams and droughts. So droughts, how to control means where the drought area is there. So in that area also we can construct dams, we can store water, we can supply that water for irrigation purpose or for drinking water. And nowadays what they are doing, they are going for artificial rain also, that we can give the rain for in that area, drought area. So next one is, what is wind energy? Enumerate advantages and disadvantages associated with wind power. So wind energy means we know we are using the wind, okay, the flow of the air, okay, wind energy. It is comes from the air current and flowing here through the windmill, where we arrange in the windmill turbines. So the turbines will move, and here we will arrange the generators also. It will convert from kinetic energy into electrical energy. Okay, we can use this electrical energy to for domestic purpose and for industrial purpose and for agricultural sectors also. We will use the wind energy. So advantages will be the electricity produced from wind power. So it is eco-friendly because no pollution will be there, no greenhouse gases. It is available free of cost, and here the wind energy, it is producing here. If more wind will be there, we will get more electricity. A disadvantage will be, we'll get noise. When we go for a wind energy, when we are operating, we'll get a noise. And we do not know how much electricity generated, depends on the wind. Okay, if the heavy wind will be there, means we'll get more electricity. If there is no wind, we won't get any electrical energy. So that we have to write here. So advantages and disadvantages we have to write. Explain how groundwater in many places in India become contaminated with fluoride and arsenic. So nowadays here groundwater is polluted with fluoride and arsenic. So fluoride, if it is present, it leads to the weak strength of the bones will be decreased. And the teeth will become yellow. So here it is affecting the health of the human beings. Okay, and here arsenic, by the presence of arsenic in groundwater, it is mainly when we are going for mining process and various industrial process. So here the chemicals, when we are using this chemical, for example, if we are using in industries arsenic, so that is going from the soil deep into the groundwater, and here groundwater will be polluted. So that we have to write for this question. So next one, water is a unique resource. Comment on this statement. So what is a unique resource? Because here in water, everything, almost all the substance will be dissolved in water, and here we can use water for different purpose. We can use for agriculture, for drinking, in industries. So water is a unique resource. List the physical, physiological and psychological effects of noise. Describe the adverse health effects due to industrial noise. So here we can write about noise pollution effects. So we can write hypertension, we can write gastrointestinal problems, and here we will get ulcer in the stomach, and here behavioral changes will be there. So some points we have to write what are the effects are there about noise pollution. Explain the role of automobiles in creating air pollution and other environmental problems. So we have to write here. So pollutants from automobiles will be what we get: carbon monoxide, CO and CO2, nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxide. All these we are getting. Unburned hydrocarbons, particulate matter, all that we are getting from the automobiles. We are getting here. Due to this, here it is leading to increase the air pollution. So here, what are the effects will be there by automobile pollution? Means when we are using when incomplete combustion will be taking place in the vehicles, that is emission of more CO, it leads to air pollution. So what is affecting the health of the human beings? That is damaging to the lungs will be taking place. So it leads to the asthma or bronchitis. So some lung cancer, the disease will be there, affecting the human beings. So next one, explain the 5 major categories of water pollutants. So their sources and effects. So what are the pollutants? We can write 5 major pollutants. Water pollutants means sewage. We are getting the impure water from the drains or from the from the domestic purpose, from the homes we are getting drainage water. So industrial waste, we are getting toxic chemicals, acids, alkalis, heavy metals, so that we are getting from industries. Fertilizers and pesticides washed by rainwater and surface runoff and runoff water that is going into adding all the chemicals into the water bodies. So all that we have to write here. That is examples. We can write water pollutants. So some more pollutants also we can add, like other chemicals, arsenic, fluoride, nitrate. That is also they are adding in the water bodies and leading to water pollution. So we can write here. So here the question is their sources and effects also. Sources we know now. So sources means from the from domestic way, that is sewage. From industries we are getting, from agriculture purpose, fertilizers and pesticides. So that we have to write the sources. And here effects will be, due to the presence of nitrate excess in water, we are getting a blue baby syndrome. So that is the disease, the babies, they are getting that disease when nitrate, that is excess percentage present in water, in drinking water. The babies will get blue baby syndrome. Means in their body oxygen level will be low, so it will be effect for their breathing problems. Excess of fluoride in drinking water causes defect in teeth and bones called fluorosis. So when fluoride content more present in water, it leads to the defects in teeth. Yellow teeth, it will white teeth, it will be, what we are getting is converting like yellow teeth, and weakening of the bones, strength of the bones will be decreased. So that is called fluorosis. So for 10th one we have to write so these points. That is so 10th question is, explain any 5 major categories of water pollutants, their sources and effects. So these we have to write some of the effects of blue baby syndrome and fluorosis. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.